Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. As we return to a story we first heard yesterday on Democracy Now! It's the heart-wrenching tale of Amer Shurrab. He lost two of his brothers on the same day in an Israeli attack in Gaza. Amer is a Palestinian from Khan Yunis living in the United States. He just graduated from Middlebury College in Vermont. On Friday, his dad and two brothers were fleeing their village when their vehicle came under Israeli fire. His brother, 28-year-old Kassab, died in a hail of bullets trying to flee the vehicle. His other brother, 18 years old, Ibrahim, survived the initial attack, but Israeli troops refused to allow an ambulance to reach him and his father until 20 hours later. By then it was too late. Ibrahim had bled to death in front of his father. Amer Shurrab joins us today again from Washington, D.C., to continue with the story he began yesterday. Juan and I welcome you to Democracy Now!, Amer.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
Amer, for those who didn't hear yesterday, if you could briefly tell us again your understanding. It was Friday, is that right? That was when Tzipi Livni was actually in Washington, D.C., meeting with Condoleezza Rice.
Yes.
And you got the call from your dad?
I got the call from my big brother who lives in Saudi Arabia. He watched my dad's plea on air on Al Jazeera.
And this was still when your father was on the ground with Ibrahim, your 18-year-old brother, who was wounded in the leg. Should not have been a fatal wound.
No, absolutely not.
And what did you do at that moment when you heard they were there? What was your dad trying to do at that point? And what did you do?
Well, my dad was asking for help from everyone who could help. What I did with a group of friends, we started contacting everyone we could know who might be able to provide them help. I contacted the Seeds of Peace, whom I am a member of. I contacted the Middlebury College. I contacted my host parents. I contacted the International Red Cross. I tried to contact the media, the BBC, the CNN. I contacted the Israeli journalist Amer Shurrab, and I tried to get in touch with everyone I could think of. And my network, we contacted my fellow United World College students who also tried to contact everyone they could think of who could influence the Israeli army or send the word out. Maybe it will influence the Israeli army and they will allow help. And throughout the night we were in contact with Al-Haq, which is an NGO based in Ramallah, who were following the story. We were talking with a Middlebury alumni. She's interning with Al-Haq, and she was following the story with us.
And from what you have heard from your family there, what kind of response from the pressure on the Israeli army or the Israeli government? What was the reaction of the Israeli army to all the people that were trying to contact them to let an ambulance get through?
Well, they didn't get any positive response, and the army said, we have to fully explore the situation, we have to evaluate the situation and see how it will affect the operations in the area. And at some point they informed Physicians for Human Rights, another aid group that was contacting them, that there is an explanation for not sending the ambulance, but they said they won't provide the explanation.
Amer, your father and brother Ibrahim are on one side of the road, on one side of the car that was shot at, and Ibrahim is laying there. Your father calling on the cell phone, trying to get help. On the other side of the car, the passenger side, was your other brother, Kassab, who had been shot dead at the beginning of this attack, Israeli forces from a house. Was your father able to get to his body, just on the other side of the car?
He wasn't able to get to his body until about 7 hours later.
What was stopping him?
if he tries to move, the troops would tell him, don't move or we're going to shoot you. And if he actually attempts to move, they fire in the air or around him. But around 8 p.m. or so on Friday, he saw some wild cats, starting to circle around Kassab's body, so he couldn't take it anymore. And he moved the 2 or 3 feet that separated him from Kassab's body just to make sure the cats wouldn't get to his body.
But he wasn't able to actually bring the body back to where he was or move it in any way?
No, all he could do is just turn him on his back and cover his face with his coat.
Amer Ibrahim, tell us what was happening with him through the day, your 18-year-old brother, who your father was with. Where was he shot?
He was shot in his leg, just under the knee, and while he was getting out of the car upon the orders of the soldiers, he got shot and he screamed, I have been injured. And he tried to call the ambulance, but the soldiers ordered him to drop the phone or they would shoot him. But they would allow my father to use a cell phone. My father tried to call the emergency number several times, and Ibrahim would tell him every 5 minutes, I'm hurt, I'm injured, I'm in pain, call an ambulance. And he was bleeding all the time. And after sunset, he started shivering and trembling, telling my dad he was cold. And after my dad found out that Kassab was dead, Ibrahim asked my dad, were you pleased with him, Daddy? And he said, yes, I'm pleased with him. And then Ibrahim, around 9 o'clock, Ibrahim told my dad, he was still shivering from cold, and he told my dad, I'm so cold. So my dad told him, okay, stand up and I will help you to get in the car. Maybe it will be warmer there. So as they stood up, the soldier said, don't move or we will shoot you. But my dad screamed back. It was like, you killed my son. If you want to shoot us, I don't care. And he helped him into the car. My dad took off his coat and covered Ibrahim with it. And they had some laundry piled in the back of the car. So he covered Ibrahim with it, trying to just trying to provide him with some warmth. And he asked him, Ibrahim, are you warm? He said, I'm warm, Daddy, but I'm in pain. Call an ambulance. Call 101. And he would repeat that every 5 minutes. Call an ambulance. Call 101. And all that time, my dad was receiving calls from the media, from human rights groups, and he was repeating his appeal and telling them, my son was killed and the other one is bleeding and he's in pain. Send us help. And help was nowhere to be seen. And around midnight, he got a call from Al Jazeera, and they told him, you're on air, tell us where you are, what's happening. So he broadcasted his plea on air. And once he was done, he couldn't hear the breath of Ibrahim. He thought he fell asleep. He talked to him, he wouldn't respond. He placed his hand on his forehead. It was still warm, but he wasn't breathing anymore. And he had no pulse.
Amer, could you tell, in all of the 20 hours that your father was there, those soldiers who did the shooting never came out to even come near them or to try to, in one way or another, find out the results of what they'd done?
No. No.
No.
He asked them for help several times, but they didn't care.
Now, Amer, your father, your family, you are all well known there. You have a farm on the border. Did you know Israeli soldiers as you were growing up? Your farm right in the suburb of Khan Yunis.
Well, our farm is about 500 meters away from the borders. In several occasions when there are incursions, the troops would come by, like pass him, storm by him, and continue. They wouldn't come near him.